It'll take a moment to propagate through the streams.
Okay.
We are live.
All right.
Good evening and welcome to the Monday, March 1st, 2021 special Litchfield Board of Selectmen meeting. The board has just come out of a paperwork review. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, boy.
Are there any other items of business members would like to add this evening?
No.
Hearing none, public input will occur no earlier than 6:45 p.m. The first item of business this evening is the Pat Jewett Volunteer Award slideshow. Mr. Brown.
Okay, thank you. I'll make it quick. We have our coordinator of the annual event here, Laura Gandia, with us, and she's going to open it up with some statements. And from there, we're going to transition to a slideshow that Laura and our LCTV staff have produced for everyone's enjoyment.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Board of Selectmen. Good evening. My name is Laura Gandia, and I am here before you tonight to say a few words about what March 1st means to the town of Litchfield and its residents. In 2014, March 1st, which happens to be Pat Jewett's birthday, was declared by proclamation from the Board of Selectmen as the Pat Jewett Volunteer Appreciation Day to recognize Pat for her decades of service to the town and to further recognize volunteers who embodies Pat's passion of service to others. Since 2015, the town has enjoyed 6 occasions to recognize Pat and the award recipients who have exemplified volunteerism and civic duty in the town of Litchfield. The recipients so far have included Margaret Parent, Barry Bean, Linda Peoples, Jason Brennan, and Heidi Hale Miller. This year, Pat passed away, leaving so many of us utterly heartbroken. But as all of us know, especially those of us who knew Pat, her legacy will live on. To that extent, we have created a slideshow presentation to honor and pay tribute to Pat Jewett, who has made an immeasurable impact on the lives of so many and on the town of Litchfield.
Plugging it in.
Fingers crossed.
My glasses on.
We're all wearing glasses. Horrible.
Marilyn Patricia, or as we know her, Pat Jewett, impacted the town of Litchfield and many of its residents through her countless hours of dedication and service. She was known to many and loved by all. She moved to Litchfield in 1950 from Derry, where she grew up. Her professional time was spent as an elementary and special education teacher for over 30 years. However, she spent over half a century of her life giving back to others and to the town of Litchfield. Her involvement consisted, but was by no means limited to, Conservation Commission member from 1952 to 1954, Recreation Commission member from 1956 to 1963, a Budget Committee chairperson, library trustee, and town trustee. She was also the first elected woman to the Board of Selectmen in 1979. She kept that post until 2011 and was a selectman again from 2012 to 2014. She was also the Memorial Day and Pearl Harbor Day and Veterans Day chairperson, Zoning Board of Adjustment member, Welfare Director, Town Hall and Building Committee member, NPPC Treasurer, and Town Cleanup Chairperson from 1995 to 2010. Her commitment to serving others did not stop with town government. Pat also had various affiliations, including but not limited to the 4-H Club as a leader from 1944 to 1954, Cub Scout Den Mother 1971 to 1975, She was also Litchfield Community Church member from 1958 to 2020, which included the youth group ministry and assisting with the Strawberry Festival, yard sales, and holiday fairs. She was also the Extension Club officer, Hudson Grange member, Litchfield and Nashua School District PTO member, softball and volleyball coach, Alvin Booster Club member. She was also the co-director of the food pantry and Community Council Board of Directors member. One would also be remiss without recognizing all of her unspoken deeds involving veterans, seniors, and children. Looking for ways to express their indebtedness and sincere appreciation for all of Pat's efforts, in 2014, the Litchfield Board of Selectmen issued a proclamation declaring March 1st the Pat Jewett Volunteer Appreciation Day. The proclamation provided in part, now therefore in recognition of the extraordinary commitment to the public and community service for the Litchfield demonstrated by M. Patricia Jewett, and an ongoing support for the continual encouragement of others to become involved in our community. We, the Board of Selectmen, now declare that March 1st and all future years will be recognized as the Pat Jewett Volunteer Appreciation Day. And further, each year, the community will recognize those continuing Pat Jewett's legacy of service. In 2015, the first Pat Jewett Volunteer Appreciation Award was given and bestowed upon her at Campbell High School, where many gathered and spoke of her influence on the town. Pat quipped, "My biggest surprise was the day I won selectman. I made signs out of cardboard from the dump, and people thought I wouldn't win with handmade signs, but I did." Not only did she win that election, but she also won over the hearts and minds of so many throughout the years, inspiring them to step forward in giving back to the community. You want to play the video next?
Sure.
The first part of the video is the first award ceremony, 2015, and it was done at the auditorium, and the audio was not very good. So I just picked a few segments from that because there's a really bad hum, but she had some very interesting things to say.
Thank you. I'm embarrassed. I really am. I haven't slept for 2 nights, so what do you expect, right? When you get old, you have a hard time sleeping after, if you go to the bathroom once, you're up for the night, usually. Here was a motto that I thought was very appropriate. Even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. My biggest surprise was the day that I won selectman. There hadn't been a woman selectman in town, and I was so surprised. And I made my signs up out of cardboard that I took out from the dump. And also, I went all around to the things in the town hall and said, "Don't you have some cardboard or oak tag that's used on one side and I could use the other?" And so I did. And people laughed at me. They said, "Pat, you'll never win with those signs." I said, "That's okay. If I don't win, I don't win." But I won, and I was so surprised. So I would like to thank Laura Gandia for thinking of this when she told me about it. I said, I thought, what's she talking about? Who will come? Some of these people I haven't seen for 20 years. But anyway, you came, and I'm delighted, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the volunteering. Boy, what people have helped me with, because I never could have done it. So again, thank you to you all, and thanks for coming too. Somebody said, "Pat, you're as feisty as you were 50 years ago." Yeah, I guess I am. You know, Litchfield is a wonderful place. If you haven't become involved in the town, you really need to be. The more you get involved, the better you're going to like it. It's just wonderful. Once you've been involved, as much as Linda and I have, you and Margaret, you just don't get over it. And it's so hard. I mean, I might be old, but I still want to go and I still want to do things and I want to help people. And it's awful when you can't. So do it now while you can, and do it for Jewett. That's the way. Pat, how come you can keep so young? And I said, you know what? You eat good, you help people, and you volunteer for the town. And those are 3 things that will help you to keep young. And so I really believe that. So I think that everybody enjoys helping people. And the more you do it, the more you're going to enjoy doing it because it gives you a wonderful feeling. Yeah. Congratulations, Jason. I hope you keep busy because I'll keep you younger and you'll be happier.
All right.
And your heart will live forever.
I hope so.
Okay, never, a little saying I always used to say, you're never too young or never too old to serve people. So people want to serve and they want to be helped. All you have to do is ask. And all the time I've been involved in all the town things, church things and everything else. If you ask, they will receive. They say you have to ask, but nobody wants to take charge, but they're willing to help. But that's okay. Volunteers, God bless them. Many will be shocked to find when the day of judgment nears that there's a special place in heaven set aside for volunteers, furnished with big recliners, satin coaches, and stools. Well, where there's no committee chairman, no group leaders, or carpools. Anyway, I'm going to do it hell or high water. I'm going to make it. Good. Yeah. So anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for helping me all those years on all those projects. But I'm trying to settle people down, say, would you please take chairman next year? Would you please do this? Would you please? Because I feel like I'm letting the town down. And I really love Litchfield. And I said, boy, I don't know. I can't. But anyway, thanks again for coming. And thanks to Heidi for all she's done and all the rest of the workers and volunteers, because it means a lot. That means more to me than anything. Somebody said, why do you like it? I just love helping people. And I'm not going to be able to do much more. After all, you get too old for everything. So I hope you'll help whoever continues on. Okay? Thanks a lot. Bye now.
That's it.
That was good.
That's good.
That's it.
Well,
Thank
very
you. Thank you,
Wow.
Laura, for the
Yeah,
presentation.
absolutely. That was fantastic.
Thank
Did
you.
you want to read the rest of it or?
Oh, the last paragraph?
Yeah, I didn't. I thought you were going to read it. I wasn't quite sure I was supposed to read it.
I will have to say his hair looks a little grayer.
That was John Burnell. I saw John Burnell.
No, it don't.
He changed a lot.
And
He was young.
the last little paragraph for the slideshow is her legacy is eternal. Her smile, quick wit, ability to pay folks with her homemade apple pies, her mantras of firm, fair, and fun, and Jewett can do it, capture and emulate her ever-giving spirit. Few people have the ability to touch countless lives, inspire, give of themselves endlessly, make the world a better place, bring out the best in people, and be sincerely good, kind, and humble. Pat did that and so much more. She will be dearly missed, but never forgotten. Well done, good and faithful servant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura, I just want to say that over the years, you've done a great job. Thank you very much.
We want to go around. I just wanted to, if we're going to go around, just say, just wanted to say one of the memories I'll always have while working for the town of Litchfield is participating in the first Pat Jewett Award ceremony and looking forward to them every year. And it's that time of the year where we've just come off, working through the budgets and having deliberative session. And it's kind of like on the eve of the elections in March. And it's just a refreshing evening. You go home and you're really energized and you refocus. And just listening to those clips this evening, again, it does something to you. And Pat had a tremendous message, and listening to it again tonight, it's important. It's true. I just, echo her words. Get involved as much as you can.
Rich, you want to say something?
Well, I don't think it's any secret what Pat meant to me through the years. She and Will came to our wedding back 25 years ago or more. When you think about Pat, in my case, I think about, obviously she was so dedicated to the town, but she had schemes. She had so many schemes. She was frugal to the point of being ridiculous. But it was always like, for instance, she had a scheme one time. She was going to go to the dump and she was going to collect all the cans, the aluminum cans that came from Massachusetts. And she was going to take them to Massachusetts and get the nickels for them. Of course, when she was well, obviously she found out that was illegal, but she, as welfare selectman, I'm not gonna talk about all the things that she did, but I'll tell you, the town did not spend any money that wasn't absolutely necessary when she was the queen of welfare. But then there was just so much selflessness to Pat. I mean, she and it wasn't like she was an organizer, because she was an organizer, but that wasn't the big thing. She motivated people by setting an example. And, at her age, she would, I remember when we were building the soccer field at Dara Pond, and she and Will were right out there with about a dozen people. We were picking up rocks that had come up, and she and Will put so many rocks in one little hand cart that the wheels buckled. I never will forget that. But they had bicycle wheels, and the wheels actually buckled. There were so many rocks in that cart. But and working inside the building at Dara Pond, and just over and over again. And if you ever had any issues with, like, our house was built in 1771, and of course, every year, every winter, we say this is the last winter with this stinking old house. Well, anytime something came up, I didn't even have to. It seems like Will could anticipate I was having issues, and he helped me so many times with frozen pipes and electrical issues and this and that. He was always there. And of course, the trip that Will and I took up for the Christmas trees, that's I never will forget that. We borrowed an old box truck from David Campbell. drove 3 hours north with this old box truck that David had. And we get all the way up there. We're probably within a couple, 3 miles from Jack Algio's Christmas tree patch. We're going to go cut some Christmas trees. We're coming down a long hill, and at the bottom of the hill, there's a railroad tracks and a stoplight. So I begin slowing down, and my foot went all the way to the floor. No brakes at all. So I looked over at Will, and I said, Will, we don't have any brakes. And Will, in his way, said, well, you better start shifting down. So I start shifting that sucker down, and it's revving up to beat the band. It's a antique Ford, like maybe a 56 or 58. And this was in 90, so it was old then. Coming down this long hill, and that darn thing is revving up. There's no way we're going to stop. There's a railroad tracks, and the light is red. I said, whoa. If I was Catholic, I'd have been crossing myself. But at the very last minute, the light turned green, and we scooted through. And then we could breathe. On the way to the railroad, to the patch, we had to go through town, going real easy. Will said, pull in here. So we pulled in. It was a mechanic place. Of course, it was Saturday, and they couldn't help us. But Will said, well, he borrowed the tools. So while we started loading Christmas trees in the back of that old truck, and Will's climbing under there, and he was an old man then, I don't know. And he crawled under and starts overhauling the brakes. And I'll be son of a gun. By the time we got those Christmas trees loaded, he had those brakes working. And we flew home. And what did Pat say? God takes care of fools and little children. I never will forget that. And that day, Will and I were the little children, I guess, or maybe the fools, but whatever. There's just so many. And when Jason organized the concert down at Mel's, I called Pat and see if she wanted to go. Oh yeah, she'd go. She said, I've never been to a concert before like that. So I said, okay, Pat, we'll take the convertible. Well, boy, she was in her glory. We went to that concert, and she had the best time, and we got a nice seat, and it was a great time. And it's such a shame that she had to end her life the way she did. She deserves so much better, but whatever. We all know how we felt about her. So she went to her grave knowing that she was appreciated. And that's the best thing that we can say. She'll never be forgotten.
I've known Pat my whole life. I was born and raised here. There's a couple of her. While we're in Boy Scouts, and even we had a conservation camp we went to. She signed up for us to go. It was fantastic. She come back. What did you learn? No, I told her. They told us we can't cut stuff or kill things. And working here on the farm all the time, those are the first two things you did every morning. Okay. But all my life here, she was always been involved with the town. My mother was town clerk in tax collector with Pat right there all the time. And we had meetings down there. I used to go when I was young just to see what was going on. Pat was always there. And I got to say one thing. She was a no vote on a lot of things because her frugalness was good because she was very tight. with our money. And I have a lot of respect for somebody who can get up and say that, especially in this day and the age. But I have to say that there's one part of my life here where I was involved in an accident and a drowning in the river. And Pat come over and says, "You made it. I'm glad we showed you how to swim." You know, basically, you know, the camps and stuff like that that we went to. So I have to say, and my mother said the same thing, and she's always liked Pat. So I got to admit, she's been a blessing to this town, and I've been on a few committees, and I got to be careful what I say because she's staring at me right now. There's a picture on the wall that's blinking. So thank you, Pat, for everything. I have to say that to her on the wall.
I get the camera pointing in the picture right now.
Oh, good, good.
Actually, the eyes move.
They do. They follow you.
Depending on who she's scorning at. Yeah, I've known Pat my whole life too. You couldn't go to any function in town without her being there.
Yep.
Whether it was at the Grange or whether it's the old town cookouts we used to have, and Pat was just always everywhere and picking up trash on the road, leaving it in bags so people could come pick it up. Just always doing things to help the town out. And I remember last year, my wife, it was sometime early fall, like September maybe, she decided to make a turkey dinner. And she said, we should make some for Pat because we knew she wasn't feeling well and she was at home and she had a full-time aide or whatever. So we did. We made her a dinner and we brought it up to her. And of course, that was an hour-long conversation. Pat did like to talk. And it was probably like, well, maybe a month or so later, I got a phone call on my business line on my machine. Now, she had my cell number, but she's like, "This is Pat Jewett, and I need you to come to my house on Jeff Lane because I just baked you a pecan pie." Now, Richard talked about her apple pies and whatever, but she made a pecan pie. And I didn't make it that day. So the next day, there's another message. "This pecan pie is going to go bad if you don't come get it." So my wife says, "You better go get it." But that's just the person she was. If you did something for her, she was going to do something for you. And we're going to miss her. You know, she's a very, very dedicated person and an asset to this town. Thank you, Pat.
There's an old saying, Bob, I gotta say. March 1st is when the wind blows. Winter comes. Today's a good day of it. Pat was March 1st. She knew what time to come.
I didn't know her a lot. I did meet her at a few town functions. I heard all the stories. I did see her picture over there many times at the planning board staring. I didn't want to mess up. Then after that, I met her at the Presbyterian Church. I think it was one of her birthday events. And I never really met her formally. So I walked up and I said who I was. And I said, I wanted to meet the legend. And it was wonderful. We had a wonderful conversation and she was very gracious. And I will appreciate that.
Very good. Mr. Weber?
I'd like to thank Pat for her years of volunteerism and for being the beacon of volunteerism for this town. And I'm hoping that many people will follow in her path and give back to the residents the way that she did. I'd like to thank Laura and for Rob for putting together that wonderful presentation and for everybody's words about Pat. I'd also like to open it up for public input to see if there's any members of the public that would also like to speak concerning Pat.
See Jason on the board. Hey, Jason.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just here to pay my respects to Pat. She was a marvelous woman. One story that I remember fondly is when a bunch of us were on the part of Litchfield girls softball, and before one of the tournaments that we were having about 15 years ago, we wanted to paint Talent Hall because it was just an unpainted building with cinder blocks on it. So we came into the Board of Selectmen and we said, hey, we got a group of volunteers that want to paint Talent Hall. Can we do it? And the Board of Selectmen sat there and said, yeah, that's a good idea, except for one guy down at the end of the table said, I don't think we should do it because it could be a liability to the town. And at that point in time, no vote was taken. We were shaking our head. We walked out of the Board of Selectmen room. And then about a minute later, Pat comes running out, runs up to us and quietly says, just go do it. Don't go do it. Ask for forgiveness. 3 days later, we had that building painted.
You've learned.
Can-do attitude. And I wanted to thank Laura too for all the effort that she puts in regards to this award. That's all I got. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome, Jay. Thank you for your input. Are there any other members of the public that would like to provide input?
I don't think so.
Hearing none, we will close public input. Once again, thank you very much, Laura and Rob, for everything you did in pulling this together. It's greatly appreciated. And of course, thank you to Pat for her many years of service to our community, and she'll always be in everybody's heart and hopefully be the guiding beacon for everybody who will go out and volunteer and give back the way that she did.
Chairman Weber, if I could just, a couple closing remarks.
Of course.
I thought he was gonna do a dance.
You know, since 2015, Laura Gandy has been behind the scenes coordinating all the ceremonies. And I was able to work with her on 4 of those, and this being the 5th, you know, ended up in this ceremony this evening, which was very unique and different than the previous ones. But I can tell you, received notification from Laura back around the first of the year that she would be stepping down and no longer being the coordinator for the event. And that was a real, you know, kind of shocking news for me because I relied on her, the Board of Selectmen relied on her to coordinate this event every year. And she just does an amazing job. I don't think people realize how much work is involved in this event behind the scenes, from starting in December, getting the notices out, and all the planning that goes on with the light refreshments, the decorations. I think she even recruits her husband. They come in here on a Sunday afternoon and decorate the town hall and just do a fantastic job. So, you know, Laura's the one ordering the flowers and all the plaques and everything. So this year, I just like to present her with flowers as just a little token of our appreciation.
Thank you, Laura. No problem.
Thank you, Troy. Seeing we have no other business this evening, we do only have one other item, and that's going to be a non-meeting with legal counsel. We will only come out of the non-meeting in order to adjourn the meeting. I appreciate everybody tuning in this evening and hope everybody stays well.
Thank you, lady.
Thank you, Laura.